Good morning, everyone. QuickSort algorithm. First, QuickSort is a sorting algorithm based on the divide and conquer approach. Then this is the array. It's divided into the sub-array by selecting pivot elements. Elements selected from the array. The array, while dividing the array, the pivot element should be positioning the positioning in such a way that the element less than the pivot and kept the left side and the element with the right side of the pivot. The left side and the right side subarrays are also divided using the same approach. This process continues until each subarray contains a single element. At this point, elements are already sorted while A of I less than pivot, I plus plus. Then the elements are combined from sorted array. The working principle of algorithm, the pivot elements are different variations of a quick sort where the pivot element is selected from the different positions. It is selected from the different positions where we will be selecting the rightmost element of the array as the pivot element. The element listed in the selected pivot element, then comparative left side and right side of the pivot. Now the elements are arranged so that the elements that are smaller than the pivot are put the element greater than the pivot or put in the right side. Swap A the pivot element of I comma j if I greater than j and I less than or pivot. A point is fixed at the pivot element. The pivot element is compared with the element at beginning of the first index. So comparison of the pivot element with the element being from the first index. If the element is greater than the pivot element, the second pointer is set from the element. Now pivot is compared with the other elements. If an element is smaller, then the pivot element is reached. The smaller element is swapped with the greater element found earlier. So the pivot is compared with the other element. Again, the process is repeated to set the next generator element as the second pointer and swap it with another smaller element. The process is repeated to set the next greater element as the second pointer. The process goes on until the second last element is searched. So the process goes on until the second last element is reached. Then the pivot element is wrapped with the second pointer. Divided subarrays. The pivot elements are again chosen for the left and the right subparts separately as the step 2 is repeated. Select the pivot elements of each of and put it on the correct place using the recursion. The subarrays are divided until each subarray is formed a single element. At this point, the array is sorted. So the understanding of the working QuickSort algorithm with the help of the images. It occurs when the pivot element picked in either the greater or the smallest element. This condition leads to the case in which the pivot element lies in an extreme end of the sorted array. One subarray is always empty and another subarray contains n-1. The pivot element can be included in a right and left element divided into the subparts. The right and left element can be included in I, comma j. The condition leads to the case in which the pivot element lies in an extreme and end of the shorted array. An extreme end of the shorted array. One subarray is always empty and another subarray contains n minus 1. The element such QuickSort is called only in the subarrays. However, the QuickSort algorithm has better performance for scatter pivot. It occurs when the pivot element is always the middle element or near to the middle element. It occurs when the above conditions do not occur. Finally, we got the shorted array from the QuickSort algorithm for the scattered elements. The space complexity for the QuickSort is order of log n. The QuickSort algorithm may contain the programming language is good for recursion, time complexity matters, space complexity matters. So, in that QuickSort algorithm, uh, partitioning in the functions and uh, QuickSort functions, the divided method array into the two subarray based on the syntax. It's divided into the another subpart with the ascending order of a sorting elements array. The sorting elements are divided into two parts again. Then repeated recursive problem can be given in the formula. The finally we got in the sorted array. Thank you. Then இதுக்கு இதுக்கு சும்மா அந்த இது